done for the outside world in terms of location positioning and created, such game-changing applications, of course, like Uber and Google Maps. Um, we are looking to have a similar impact, but on sort of the inside world. In other words, massive properties with thousands of moving people inside of the property, whether that's a big hotel, like the one here, like in Vegas, or around the country, but also, in schools, for example, big commercial buildings, office towers. That is really the sweet spot for our technology and where it can have the most impact. And for the hospitality industry, we've been focused on that right from the beginning in building the features that are really required to dramatically improve hospitality safety. And I'll just explain a little bit of how we got started, and then the team. We started this, as I mentioned, long before COVID, about 2 years ago, and it was the original idea came to me from one of the hotels in town who had been evaluating the first generation personal alarm systems. And they felt that the tools were not meeting their needs for various reasons. In terms of location accuracy, was very poor, privacy violations. You had to pair it all with a smartphone, and that added cost. So they gave me a list of reasons that it was not meeting their needs. And they had found us when I was running a previous company and wanted us to modify our technology to adapt it for a personal alarm system. And of course, we ended up doing that, but not before we kept getting similar interest from school systems in this Bluetooth mesh networking technology to adapt it for teachers who, as frontline workers, are very similar to housekeepers and other staff like that. So I've been a part of several technology startups in my career. A couple of them, I joined as an early executive. We grew them from 20 people to 2,000 people and took them public. I've got a fantastic team behind the whole company. My co-founder is Tim. He's a MIT engineer, PhD in electrical engineering. Really this amazing brain behind the technology. And then I'm proud to say that I've got some real hotel operating executives, as advisors, strategic advisors to the company. Brandon Reed, who's on the call as well. Brandon used to run operations, VP of operations at Cosmopolitan, Venetian, Hard Rock Hotel. And I think many of you know Shannon McCallum, who's also been advising us for a bit now. She's a former VP of operations at Aria, Mandalay Bay, and really brought a whole dimension to make sure that we perfect this product for the hospitality industry and get the right product market fit. And Ed Meskill has a long history in Las Vegas with various startups, and also the gentleman on the left is on our board and really one of the gentlemen I worked for when I was a young man. And so he's really helping us to grow this company into something big and successful based on meeting a product, a market need that's unaddressed today. So as I mentioned, we started the company, we built and piloted a next generation personal alarm system built on 100% Bluetooth mesh technology to solve some of the problems with first generation tools, the legacy tools that are out there that have been tested in hotels in town. And then with COVID, we had realized, because we built a very precise positioning system to track the location of people in real time as they move around the property, we realized that we had about 90% of what's needed for contact tracing. And that's, precise location positioning of people and their closeness to other people as they move around over a period of time. So we were able to, in a very short amount of time, literally 3 months from when COVID hit the US to June, we fast-tracked a big database to do historical tracing of people and an analytics dashboard to show that information. And so what we're trying to do between the personal alarm system, guys, and the contact tracing, we're trying to reduce the risk of disruption to the hotel operations due to, a viral outbreak, due to, assault of any worker, or due to, something more severe that we've seen in schools and even in some hotels. So we want to reduce that, obviously improve safety of the workers and also reduce risk of business disruption due to that, from that. And then the big new thing, of course, that everybody's struggling with around the world, frankly, but obviously, Las Vegas has been hit hard about trying to instill confidence that it's safe to be back in the casinos, in the workplace. This is across the board, as you guys know better than I do, even as operators. So there's this real challenge to implement contact tracing that's sustainable, not really rely entirely on public health departments that are completely overwhelmed with doing contact tracing. They're taking on average 7 days to do a trace when you need it in 2 days. I mean, frankly, you need it in a day if there's a confirmed case in your staff. And we're able to do that today, and I'll explain how. And then finally, there's all these new challenges that are unprecedented, but then you still have the traditional issues of improving, operational efficiencies and personal safety throughout a big property like that. And then finally, since we designed this with schools and hospitality in mind, privacy has been a central design factor from the very beginning, especially since that original hotel who got us started on this said that privacy was a big issue with some of the original tools that existed. So what we started shipping last month, and we are also in several pilots already right now, we have the ability through our software and sensors to know exactly who is on site at any time, and if they're symptomatic, to run an automatic trace across hundreds of people in a couple of seconds. And I'm going to show you guys a demo of that right after the slides. But this idea of fast intervention to find out who's exposed to a confirmed case is really the only way to reduce viral spread. We know now, I think we're all, amateurs now in contact tracing and virus mitigation. It's wearing masks, it's social distancing, and it's contact tracing. And as we know, the contact tracing part is what's failing most because most states are way overwhelmed by it. And we want to make sure that hotels and other companies know that there's a solution like Volan that exists to help today, not only help the hotel, but to help the public health departments reduce the load by prioritizing those most at risk. Through our geofencing technology, we're also able to automate social distancing enforcement. So for example, if you have new room capacity, safe room capacities that say are 10 people and there's 11 people in the room, it'll set off an automatic alert, just like a personal alarm alert, a panic alert. It notifies the operations director that a room's over capacity so that they can intervene. That all happens through the software platform that we've built. And then the privacy element, I'll talk about more when we talk about the smart badges that people wear. But literally, the short answer is all we store on those is an anonymous 4-digit number, and there's no personal information stored on the smart badges that people wear. There's no connection to the smartphone of any of the staff, so there's no real worry by the staff that something's being monitored inside of their phone. So just a high level on how it works. As I mentioned, it's 100% Bluetooth mesh technology. It's the same Bluetooth technology that you use to pair your phone to your car, but we've taken it to a whole other level with a fantastic team of engineers and under the guidance of my co-founder, Tim Chanowski. And what we've built is a very low power, pervasive wireless network that's easy to deploy on massive sites just by literally powering on some wireless beacons, mounting them on the wall, and dragging and dropping in our iOS app to create virtual geofences. And that's pretty much it. I mean, overly simplified, but that's how you can install this very quickly in a couple of days on a big property. There's no connection to the corporate network required. There's no GPS required. So, and the other benefit of this mesh network is you've got redundancy built in. So in other words, the way mesh works is every device, every sensor in the network relays messages to other sensors. So you've got wall beacons and people, you've got a network that can persist even if there's a power outage, if there's a break in the network. And then we built in some double encryption level privacy so that the information that is in the system is only being viewed by key authorized executives. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And then on the left side, you can see the wearable smart badge. I'm going to show you a real version once we jump off the screen sharing, but these are credit card size. The same size as the employee ID badges today. And they've got batteries in them that allow them to last up to 2 weeks. And there are a bunch of incident type of buttons on those, which I'll show you on a bigger screen. So that's the basic architecture. And what we're able to do with that on a contact tracing perspective is pretty powerful. We found already in the last couple of weeks of meetings in Las Vegas, and also with some of the early customers we've got on the East Coast. If you look on the right side of the dashboard here, there's a contact tracing report on Teresa Kendall, who, imagine the public health department called, or Teresa called and said, listen, I've got COVID. You need to do a trace, and you decide as an operator, you got to trace who she came in contact with over a period of time. You click a button, and that trace runs in a couple of seconds. And on the bottom right, you can see a prioritized list of those people most exposed to Teresa based on a patented ranking system that we've created, which is essentially based on room level risk of a person. So if you think about what the CDC has said is the most infectious areas, they're rooms, right? It's not outside areas, as we know. So we built our system to assess room risk based on an infected person being in that room, how long they're in that room, and then everybody gets measured against that risk factor. So what we're able to do is produce a really prioritized list of the 10, 20, whatever the interval is of those most exposed. To the HR director or HR VP can call them up immediately, literally seconds after running the report, make them quarantine in an isolated section, send them home, and ask them to do a COVID test. That's all existing. You'll see on the right, we're going to show you today. And what we're launching in about a month is on the left side, some of the social distancing alerts that pop up when a room is over capacity will pop up in the same dashboard. And then a whole analytics dashboard for analyzing historical emergencies on your operational staff. So you can, for example, find out what the response time was for a medical emergency, who responded, why did it take so long, how did they get there. You can really do the location information is going to give you the ability to improve the response time pretty dramatically, or response effectiveness, I should say, dramatically. And then we're adding in a site roster. So the last thing I'll say on this slide is we also did an integration with that infrared thermometer there. Some companies we're talking to want to do a baseline thermometer check, temperature check at the start of a shift. Others are not sure yet, but I wanted you to know it's an option in case you want to do it. That information gets appended to this private profile that's only available to, say, the on-site doctor, the nurse, or someone of that authorized nature. So just, I think, 2 more slides, and then we'll cut to the demo and then some FAQ. So if the last view that you saw is a historical trace of all the data we're able to capture in the system, this is a real-time view. And this is where the power of the personal alarm, emergency response handling really comes into play. It's an iOS app that would have your hotel's floor map uploaded to it, to your view of it. And then the areas in blue that you can see or red are geofenced areas. And when you click a room, it pops up a list of exactly who's in that room. And you can optionally put names in here, as we have, or those can just be node ID numbers, like 4-digit ID numbers. So, for example, if you have a manager level who you want to help, respond to things, you don't necessarily need to know the person's name, or he doesn't, but they'll see that this person is having an emergency in room 204, 22nd floor, and what type of emergency it is. And this is a really big departure. If you guys have looked at the first gen tools and panic alarms, they mostly have been just one button, right? And you can imagine as a responder how difficult that is to respond. I mean, is it somebody with an allergic reaction, or is it an active shooter? I mean, so how do you prepare to respond to a wide variety of these different incidents? We built that right into the wearable fobs that staff, frontline workers, and operational people wear, so they could press a button and input exactly the type of emergency. That takes about 3 seconds on a big property, like any of the large properties in Vegas. It takes about 2 to 3 seconds to go from one end of the property to the next to alert operations. So this is the last slide, just to give you a sense of where we are. As I mentioned, we've been in schools already long before COVID, and actually some schools helped us design the product features and the use cases I mentioned, so similar to hospitality in terms of lots of people, lots of close interaction, emergency situations that need to be dealt with. So we built it with schools. We're deployed at a couple here that are the size of some big hotels. And we are launching a pilot with Amazon's Audible very soon, and that's about 2,000 employees. And then I'm pleased to say we are in the new UNLV Caesars Blackfire lab right there in Vegas, where you can see the product, in person yourself. If you've got some interest after tonight, Shannon and Brandon can walk you through how the product works. If you're not familiar with Blackfire, it's a beautiful mock hotel casino setup across one entire floor of an office tower, and there are hotel rooms set up, and it's really designed to showcase the latest in technology for the hospitality industry. So I really encourage you to check it out to see not only Volan but other technologies in action. So is there anything to add, Brandon, before I jump over to the product demo that you felt I missed?
Yeah, let me take myself off of mute there real quick.
Okay.
No, I think you nailed it. I just wanted to give a little bit about my background real quick. I've been in the industry for over 25 years. I've overseen every single discipline within the hospitality industry. I grew up in Las Vegas, have worked inside Vegas and outside of Vegas, and I would just say that I'm very happy to be part of this project. Employee safety and guest safety is something that is paramount to our success, and something I'm definitely passionate about. And I can tell you that neither myself or anyone on the team would sell this product if we didn't believe in it. And I'm proud to be part of the team and part of a hospitality advisor, and can guide Michael on how to actually approach the operator, since I am an operator.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. So are you guys able to see my screen okay? I don't know if you can enlarge it for the presenter. Okay, great. So I just wanted to show you guys what type of smart badges we have available. So this one with a white corner on it. This is an operator badge, say a VP of operations or some executive who you want to give the ability to not only report emergencies on the left side, but also to, sorry, someone's.
Can't see that screen right now.
You can't see my video?
No.
Okay. All right, let me see if I can. Are you able to see it, Brendan?
Yeah, I can see it.
I can see it.
Okay. So if you look on the left side, there are 4 incident types that are just buttons that can be pressed at one's fingertips. There's a medical alert, an assault, fire, smoke, and then an intruder. So when this gets pressed, you can see there's a red button that gets lit up. You press it for 1.5 seconds, and that alerts somebody back in security or the doctor's or the nurse's office that there's an issue. If it's something more severe, like an intruder, there's, of course, you want to issue some action right away. If there's an active shooter type situation, you'd issue a lockdown right away through a card like this, or an evacuation if there's a fire. Everybody who wears one of these badges gets notified immediately of an emergency action that they must take. And these are totally customizable. If you guys need different ones for the industry, we can change these. But this really broadcasts out immediately to, when you issue an emergency action, these are the beacons that we have that are mounted on the walls. So they also notify people immediately of some type of action. And then the housekeeper, sort of frontline worker card is identical in shape and layout, but it just has 4 incident type buttons. You know, you're not giving all staff members, of course, the ability to issue major safety actions, but you've got to give them the ability to issue different types of emergencies. That's the housekeeper card, staff card, and then the other one has no buttons on it. It's an option if you were looking to give it to guests or vendors who are on site, other people who you may not want to be able to press panic alerts, but you do want them to be notified. And also you want to be able to include them in a contact trace. And that's how we do the contact tracing, is with these devices. So let me just share my screen one last time, and then we'll move over to FAQ. I'm going to show you the contact tracing dashboard. So just as I'm doing that, just remember, so it's an iOS application. It runs on, you know, obviously iPad. It can run on an iPhone. And the dashboard, looking here, so the dashboard, with privacy in mind, the dashboard, everything here is encrypted. It's stored on Amazon Web Services in an encrypted database. And the only thing that we upload to this system are these 4-digit ID numbers that are tied to a particular badge that someone's wearing. And these ID numbers are correlated with, you know, employee ID numbers or names in your on-premise application. So Volan can't even see any names of staff members that you have in your system. All that we see are these anonymous node IDs. And this gives us the ability to do a contact trace pretty powerfully. If you click, say this person is found out to be a COVID positive person, whether it's COVID-19, COVID-20, and some other future virus, you can see there's a scoring system, and the person who's infected is the person on the left in pink, and everybody to the right is ranked based on how much time they spent with that person in various rooms. It doesn't have to be one room, it can be various rooms. It's a cumulative duration of time with that person, and you can see the ranking system base here. You can set this to 30 days, which is probably way more than necessary. You know, typical trace is 3 to 7 days. You can see the temperature history of this person, and with really the goal of trying to do early intervention in symptomatic escalations that pop up before it becomes, you know, an infectious case. And then also you can see more contacts. So you can see everybody who was exposed to that person and when they were exposed and where, in which room. So pretty powerful stuff, because you can then take and export this list into a CSV file that you give to, say, the HR director, for example, to call the people exposed. Maybe you need to report that information to the public health department. It's easy to just grab that in, you know, in less than a minute. And then one of the additional exciting things that we learned from operators in the last 2 weeks of Vegas is they love this location history of the confirmed, of that infected person. You can see exactly where they were on your property and when, so that you can prioritize a sanitization path or strategy that prioritizes those areas first and then looks at the rest of the property. So this, you just export this and you can pull this into a Tableau or some other very powerful reporting software to run some analytics on that contamination path. So that's our contact tracing dashboard. You know, if you're not familiar with what's existing, you know, otherwise, so far we've not found anybody who's doing this level of private contact tracing. The only thing we've seen in the market so far are these proximity detection devices that really end up creating a lot of false positives of passersby. And we just felt that that actually creates more problems than it solves. So we wanted to do a much better job of it. And I'm pleased to say the team, I think, has done that. So Brandon, or if anybody wanted to jump in, I think we can spend some time on Q&A now.
Yep, I think we're ready for Q&A.
Let me just pull that up. I think you can, everyone should be unmuted. If you're not, just chat, send me a chat and we can we can ask some questions through chat. Let me just make sure everyone's unmuted. Okay, yeah, everyone should be unmuted. So, ask away. We've got the team here, and we can answer any questions about timing. This is ready to deploy now. We've got plenty of supply that we just took delivery of in New Jersey. We're shipping it out to Vegas. So we know that there's a high sense of urgency right now. So we are totally ready to get you guys up and running with anything that's going to help with contact tracing, especially. If you don't want to speak up, you can send me a chat and I can answer it that way as well, if nobody wants to share the question to the group.
Uh-oh.
There's a party going on downstairs in my place here. Do you hear it?
Oh, okay, yeah. Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Michael, is there a chat in the box there? I'm not sure if that is lit up.
Let me see. Oh, right. Sorry. Let's see. Just to record it. Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions here. Let me just. I'm not. But that's okay. If there's no questions yet, like I said, you can reach out to me or Brandon, and we can organize a meeting at Blackfire. You guys know Shannon as well. Shannon's been obviously helping us to strategize in this market to make sure we meet the needs of the market. So if you'd like to see this, you should come on over to Blackfire on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think, are the schedules.